We welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube, our favorite place to be on a Tuesday and unexpectedly rainy Thursday afternoon here as we get ready for, lots of sports action. We get ready for the Nittany Lions taking on Wisconsin tonight. Nice early evening for those of us that have to get up early on Friday, as the Nittany Lion and Badgers ought to be tipping off sometime probably shortly after 9 o'clock, hopefully shortly after 9 o'clock here this evening. Penn State with a big come-from-behind win over Nebraska. Another game where, again, they're showing some resolve, some fire. I will say it's not giving me a ton of confidence about the run we were talking about earlier, that they would need to get into any serious consideration for the NCAA tournament. I think they'll have their work cut out, getting another win tonight against Wisconsin, and then I think, it just becomes difficult with the lack of depth, seeing how this team would be able to then win that third game if it is able to get by tonight against Iowa, potentially tomorrow.
You can call me Nostradamus when it happens, Ironhead.
I will be willing to do that.
The run starts now.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, we'll be sitting there watching the Sweet 16 game.
Would
in
love
the
to see
NCAA
it.
tournament.
Would absolutely love to see it.
Sitting there watching the game with some friends last night and my wife, and we were all saying, I said, this comeback just gives these guys the confidence, no matter how far they're down to anybody, they're going to have the confidence that they can come back. And that's a great thing going in these tournaments, and especially tonight. I mean, we were laughing mutually. To go down 16 in the first half against Wisconsin, it might not be the first half. The score would be 19-3 late in the second half. But we've proved before we can beat this team.
Yeah.
But again, which team's going to show up? The team that is just hurling threes up in that first half, aimlessly, just tossing threes up, or the team that comes back and hit a few shots in the second half and made it happen. So I would like to think that second half team, there's a lot of confidence built up right now. And I think that they can still play on adrenaline right now, whereas tomorrow night, if they win tomorrow night, that's when the nature catches up to them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow night,
third straight.
I mean, tonight's going to be a challenge for sure. Tomorrow night feels like a Herculean task if Penn State is able to get past tonight's matchup with the Badgers, and that obviously is a big if in and of itself. It's fun to be able to watch basketball other than Duke, which is obviously big news out of the ACC with the COVID testing there, testing positive. But other than that, and that's a big other than that, but other than that, it does seem like we're, at this point, moving forward pretty well in these postseason tournaments without those issues.
Yeah, and there's some fans out there I saw on Facebook that the Legion of Blue was out at Indianapolis last night. It was pretty cool to see the students out there. And,
very cool.
Let those guys enjoy their senior years. I mean, I think we're going to look back on this 20 years from now and say, man, there's about a 2-year window of athletes as well as students who really didn't have the full Penn State experience. It really stinks for them.
Yep. There's no two ways about that.
So that's why you got to get back. You go to school 7 or 8 years like I did, and then you just take your best 5, and that's your 5 you take.
Amen. Best 8 years of my life at Penn State education.
Well,
paid off big time.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Goon, I thought, by after 8 years of education, but that doesn't happen, I guess.
Yeah, these poor show-offs that only get 3 years of the college experience and then thrust themselves into the real world, they don't understand what they're missing.
Absolutely.
Actually, they probably understand a little too well.
You know what I don't like, Ironhead? I'm looking at watching games yesterday, watching games today. I don't like the Big Ten logo in the middle of the court. It just doesn't say Big Ten whatsoever. It just doesn't do it.
As I look at the TV, you know what I don't like? Ohio State.
Yes. I'm with you on that.
Let the record show. Sorry, just not a Buckeyes fan. They're handling Minnesota if you're not paying attention here this afternoon.
I just could not believe what Minnesota. We're watching the game. I watch it pretty closely, and for Northwestern to go on a 0-12 run, and Minnesota went a 12-0 run, maybe even 14-0 to end the game last night. Was rather impressive that a team could not score a point in the last 5-6 minutes of that game. So, oh well. Well, I mean, I am looking forward to this tonight's game very much so with Wisconsin. I mean, I think we match up well with them. I think if we can shoot, again, it's the old adage: if we can shoot, we can play with anybody in the country. But there are those games where we get dry, and it's really, really bad, and it does not end well. So now, again, like I said to you before, I feel as if we have a little bit of confidence right now. So if we go down 7, 8, 9 points, I don't think these guys – we're not going to pack it in, I don't think. I think this is a very senior-laden and well-led team.
Yeah.
And I think they're playing well for Coach Ferry right now.
Yeah, I talking with a few different folks just in the last couple of days here about the coaching situation and how to proceed and move forward. And again, there's a lot of variables that we don't know. I mean, I'm not saying under no circumstance would I support moving on from Jim Ferry. I just can't envision the circumstance that Penn State would be willing to go after that would have me excited about moving on from Jim Ferry. Now, maybe they'll surprise us, and again, I'm not, I'm not in the Jim Ferry or bust category necessarily, but boy, it's going to take something pretty special to me for. More so, I mean, I'm really not all that concerned about what our reaction is or even the fans. It's more the kids. And I just, again, if you're bringing in somebody that gets the kids excited and, boy, this is going to be a splash on the recruiting scene, man, more power to you. And yep, I'll be on board with that. It's just, again, coming out of the COVID-related issues here, and with all of the circumstances that Jim Ferry faced and the kids faced this past year, just feels like he deserves an opportunity here to see how he can proceed with things moving forward and get at least another season, if not a couple of years, to see if it can kind of carry this thing forward and keep the momentum that the program, I think, had clearly established over the two previous seasons.
Yeah, and then he takes the job over early October, like we said on Tuesday. The resignation of Pat was out of the blue in my eyes and your eyes also.
Yeah.
But for Jim to come in there, Coach Ferry, to come in there and right the ship, keep the ship afloat, and do what they're doing right now. Hopefully, they're going to do some more in the next couple of days. And we're definitely we're two guys in the boat of let's give Jim Ferry another year to at least show what he can do. And he hasn't even had a full year. And, and I feel as if he's owed that out of respect for what he's done for this program in the last since October, since he took over under these conditions. So I hope it happens, but we shall see.
Yeah, and again, if it doesn't happen, it needs to be somebody that gets you genuinely excited. I don't mean you and me again. I mean the kids and high school kids that are out there being recruited by other teams throughout the country right now. Right, it has to be, if not a big name, at least an individual with a pedigree that has people say, "Whoa, yep, that's a surefire hit of a hire at Penn State." And again, I just think that's an unlikely scenario with all of the circumstances right now surrounding Penn State and college basketball.
I couldn't agree with you more, buddy.
Thoughts on the Big Ten tournament overall to this point? Not. I wouldn't say it was exactly overwhelming basketball yesterday. No. Not that you're necessarily expecting that. But so far, Sparty, what do we make of? I think this is not going to go down as Tom Izzo's greatest Michigan State team. It's just the feeling I get at this point.
Yeah, well, they were saying on the in the broadcast before this morning's game that they said that they believe that Michigan State is in with what they've done so far this year in beating Ohio State, Michigan, I believe it was Illinois and or Iowa. So they have 3 huge wins on their schedule, on their plus wins for them. They have a couple bad losses and stuff, but I feel as if that they have played their way in. And again, this is one of the less stellar years for a Tom Izzo team. But you said Duke's going to miss the tournament. First time since 1995 that they have not made the NCAA tournament. That's a pretty good run there for Coach K. And I don't even know if Coach K was even coaching then. Was that when he had his back injury? Do you remember that, Pooch? I know he ducked out for a good season there.
Yeah.
And I know he had some real bad back issues and back surgery, so he had ducked out. They did not have a good year. I wonder if that was the year. So, I mean, add those years on. I mean, a team he coached, not making the tournament in how long? So, other than the tournament today, I mean, Michigan State, they blew their wad, I think, beating Michigan in the end of the season last week. And you know what? Maryland, it was their first Big Ten tournament win in, I believe, 4 years. They're usually one and done. Yeah. And I was watching it, and Maryland played very well. Watched that first half. I don't know if anybody out there watched it, but man, Izzo's halftime speech to the announcer, he wasn't happy with all the fouls that were going against his team, and I think that Maryland had 16 free throws, and Sparty had 3 or 4, so he was not happy about that whatsoever.
Very unusual in college basketball. They have a head coach upset about a foul disparity at halftime, but this is one of those few times where they seem to.
It was pretty funny listening to the announcers talking about him getting the technical. He's like, you know what? His 3 assistants haven't left the bench yet, so they know how far he's going to go, and they have a pretty good feel for him. I'm like, that's awesome. Just let the guy rant and rave, and if he gets too far, then they'll go after him. So nobody went and got him, so the referees did not tee him up a second time. That's some respect. It was very good. Speaking of Izzo, I watched, I don't know if on Sunday, you were obviously busy with wrestling. Oh, it was Saturday. No, wrestling final was Sunday night. So, yes, it's different than NCAA. So they had the Sparty versus Michigan rivalry pretty much, and Izzo was talking about it. And there's some stuff that's going on in that rivalry that, you don't really know about.
Yeah.
There was some pretty cool stuff watching there's not much love between those two schools, and I was watching that little bio thing, and it was actually really cool. How a lot of the rivalry started, and the little brother syndrome, and how Sparty has come back under D'Antonio and Izzo, and they took him all down, and it was a pretty good show. So I mean, I've always enjoyed Sparty. If anybody doesn't know, Sparty was the last invitee to the Big Ten before Penn State joined.
Yep.
And George Perlis called Joe Paterno and said, thank God you guys joined, because we're sick of being the new kid on the block. And that's how they were treated.
Yeah.
It still makes me a little bit mad how the Big Ten rolls the red carpet out for Nebraska the way that they did when they joined the conference 10 years ago or so. And everything was all buddy-buddy. Oh, so glad to have you. And yeah. And whereas they treated us like crap for how many years. So, yeah, there's the Goon rant's over. Next topic. What else we want to rant on here, Ironhead? Iowa wrestling. Let's talk about it.
All right.
You said you got the seedings came out for nationals?
Yes.
And you said that they pretty much followed what you suspected, right?
Yeah. The only it was what I expected, but I was hoping at 141 that they might seed Tariq Wilson, who's undefeated for North Carolina State, third. And Sebastian Rivera fourth, and that would have been optimal. And not that don't interpret that as disrespect of Tariq Wilson. I think Wilson's a terrific wrestler and not an easy out. I'm not sure there's such a thing as an easy out once you get to the quarterfinals and in some weight classes from the second round in at the NCAAs. But Nick Lee has defeated Tariq Wilson just recently in an Indy Line Wrestling Club live event. And again, it was freestyle, different than folk style. And again, nothing for granted there, so don't misinterpret it. But if you're asking me who I'd rather see Nick Lee wrestle to get to the finals, Sebastian Rivera or Tariq Wilson, it's Tariq Wilson in a heartbeat. But Rivera did get the 3 seed. And again, I think they got it right. I think the top 3 guys are in the Big Ten, and then it's Tariq Wilson is the 4th best throughout the season and in the country. So, but it means that the path then for Nick Lee to win a title just as it was at Big Tens,
Sure.
goes through Sebastian Rivera and then likely Jaden Ironman again. And I think those three guys are just, again, it's not that Tariq Wilson or some of the other guys below couldn't win a matchup against them. Again, you get a big move and, you get a situation that goes your way. But those three to me have been by far most consistently the exceptional wrestlers in that group. And I think, again, on any given day, flip a coin, because I think all three of those guys are capable of winning the national title. And we're just going to see who's on and who's able to get the a move or two to pull it out on Friday night and then Saturday night in St. Louis.
We got some time to talk about that, obviously, next week. We'll have Tuesday to talk about it. Somebody has to leave to go do their job or whatever. But I do have a question for you. Does Kale want to go freestyle or folk against me? What's he want? I mean, I'll let him decide.
Yeah, I think his preference would be.
We should do this. Like, you should come out in a sumo wrestling outfit.
Now, sumo, you might have a shot.
I would absolutely have a shot.
Yes,
it's all about leverage. Use my length.
Yes,
can't shoot at me, buddy.
indeed.
Can't shoot at me. You got to stay on your feet. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
The only shot I have
freestyle
against
would be
Cale
the
Sanderson is
preference.
if he doesn't show up. If he has a COVID scare and he's out, and I put the belt on and I walk out like Ric Flair. Woo!
There you go.
So, any other surprises in the rankings? I mean, we got Brooks as a 1. How many Iowa guys got 1s?
Yeah, 3 I think got 1s, and then I'll bring it up here. But the from Penn State's perspective, again, I think pretty much the seeds are what would have been expected, and I think there are some intriguing matchups for me there. I think that first round matchup with Robbie Howard and Malik Heinzelman, and I know Heinzelman has 2 wins over him, and rightfully the expectation is Heinzelman will beat him again. But I thought Robbie made some nice adjustments this last time around, and I think it's to Robbie's advantage, and it's one of those things. I guess no matter what the circumstance is, right? The psychology is going to be, well, if he hasn't seen you before, he doesn't know what's coming, and you use that to your advantage. I think for Robbie Howard, having this matchup against somebody that he knows, presuming that he was going to have to go against a higher seed, which he was, I think having somebody that he knows and he knows he's been right there with, really in both of the previous matchups, I think is a good thing for Robbie Howard. And again, I'm not predicting the outcome of that bout, but I think I like the idea that it's somebody that he's faced a couple of times and has some familiarity with here to open up. And I also like the fact that Heinzelman's beat him twice from the other side, right? I mean, Heinzelman goes in knowing, hey, I should win this first round matchup. And sometimes, again, it's not that I think he's going to go in consciously thinking, I'm going to get to the second round now. But there's a little something that's in the back of your mind that, well, I don't know how seriously I need to take this, even though it was close matches. I know how to beat this guy, and I think that can work to your favor. So
chip away at
we'll see. Again, no matter who he got, it work's cut out for him. And the way Heinzelman's wrestling right now, again, I'm not sitting here predicting a Robbie Howard upset, but of the potential matchups there, I don't think this is a bad one for Robbie Howard to get for that first round.
So he's a 16? Is that what we're saying?
No, Howard is a 23. Heinzelman's 10. So whatever that pairs out at. And then one of the more intriguing matchups, at least potentially potential matchups, I should say, is at 157, where you could have, if they both win their first round matches as expected, Brady Berge taking on Caleb Young of Iowa. And if Penn State is to make a run at the Hawkeyes here in the team race, right, that's about that you figure has to go Penn State's way. And listen, again, I'm not sitting here predicting it, expecting it, anything like that, but I think Brady Berge is certainly capable of beating Caleb Young. I mean, I think that is not, a crazy out of this world scenario. And, if that happens, big capital IF, But if that happens, again, that tightens things in that team race where, especially if Brady's able to go on and have a top 3 or, at least top 5 finish, and if Young finishes lower on the other end of that, again, that's a weight class where you can make up some significant ground here.
Gotcha.
In terms of the team race. But, yeah, largely I think that the seeds went the way you expected for Penn State and throughout the country. No, Bo Bartlett did not get an at-large bid. I've been reading some things. Teams usually are pretty forthcoming about, hey, if my guy's not going to be able to go. Now they have right up until, the I guess the day before. Well, obviously, if you can't go that morning, you can't go. But you hope that teams, if it's somebody that isn't going to be able to go, you're making that announcement now, and you can go to and I don't know what the, where on the alternate list is, but Bartlett would have to be, if not at the very top, near it. And apparently there are a couple of guys that at least have questions with their injuries. So, but as we sit here now, it strongly looks like just the 9-man contingent.
Anybody close enough we can go clip real quick and take a knee out, Tanya Harding? No, this thing
none of that. None of that.
Hey, we got to do what we got to do, man. I'm just saying. You want the natty, you got to go for the natty, baby.
No, none of that.
Damn it.
What's the matter with you?
We got to fix this sport, Ironhead. Come on now. Bobby Heenan would do it. Ric Flair would do it. Come on now.
This is true.
This
is true.
No, but I'm very, very looking forward to it. And then obviously this weekend starts the hockey tournament, which is fantastic. And our hockey guy is telling me that the boys are ready to go. They're chomping at the bit. And if you watch the games this last weekend, they hadn't played in a while. They looked a little rusty. So,
kick that rust off. Now we're ready to go.
Now they're ready to go against the same team they played last weekend in Notre Dame. Yep. So that match is Sunday in the afternoon, noon, I believe. So that game, looking forward to that one big time. They can make a run at that, and again, we talk about Kale getting his guys always ready to go and ready to fly and ready to peak at the right time.
Yep.
Guy is an absolute master of that.
No question.
How he's gotten those guys in the last few years to peak at the right time is. He's just a very good coach, and I know Guy very well. And he's just as good of a man as he is a coach. So good luck to the hockey boys this weekend. Sad news for the women's hockey team. I don't know how much politics paid into that, but lost in the first round. And I don't know. I asked if did they have to win the tournament to get into that to the NCAA in the final into the tournament? So didn't happen this year.
Yeah, and I do think it's just one of those situations where the conference, and it's debatable whether the conference deserves more respect or not. It's kind of, you go back to, the early Paterno years with Penn State and Eastern football and the perception. And, it's one of those things. It's difficult to gauge, right? If you are – and go to Clemson football a few years ago, right? They're breezing their way through the ACC, and everybody's saying, "Well, okay, it's the ACC." Well, but they were ready for prime time, right? But it's hard to gauge it when you're in a perceived lesser conference or lesser competition. One of your best
analogies right there, comparing Clemson to the 70s Joe.
Throughout the course of the year. So, again, that Penn State hockey team, women's hockey, I'm talking about this year. I think that I don't know whether they'd beat everybody, but I think they match up and have a shot, right? But, with such limited opportunities, again, you're kind of at the mercy of the perception that's out there, and it hurt them. It obviously hurt them, and they did not get one of the two at-large bids. So
what a year, buddy.
Yeah, so but it was still a great year. Historically good year, and again, I think a sign of really big things just around the corner for that program as well.
There you go. Sports in general are picking up around here.
Yeah, overall, it's pretty good time. Although football is going to be, as always, the barometer, and I do think this next season is going to be a really big one for Penn State in terms of well, in terms of national perception and in terms of building on the momentum that I think is still there. Again, I think everybody is willing to kind of give the COVID pass for this past season. And listen, the recruiting, right with the quarterback signing or commitment the other day here, that's right there, pretty much a consensus top 5 group now for 2022, which is, again, where you need to be if you're going to be contending for Big Ten and national titles. So I think, things still seem to be very much on the upswing there for the football program. And I do think there's a good vibe surrounding that program going into next season.
Well, big news out of the football camp today in recruiting was that they signed Alan Zamitis back as coming in as a recruiter, working in the recruiting aspect of it. And Alan was a 2005 All Big Ten player, fantastic player, good man, good human being.
Yeah.
He's a great addition. So, get a little bit of old school Penn State back in there, I think. And, he'd been in Susquehanna for a long time. I think since he got done with the Buccaneers, I think he's been coaching down in Susquehanna.
Yeah.
Good dude, good coach. He'll hopefully mature to be on the field, possibly. We shall see. But he is coming back as to work in the recruiting department.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Alan.
Yeah, and I agreed on everything you said. I think that's a great addition, and I think I think it will help just continue again to build on the momentum that was there, and I would argue is still there. Again, with the way this season finished, right? I mean, it feels like that momentum. The 0-5 start is kind of forgotten because of the combination of the finish to the season, and then the fact that again it's a COVID year, and I think the fact that they've had the success here since the end of the season on the recruiting trail they have, right? I mean, it feels like you're kind of back to where Penn State was in terms of the good vibes and the feeling coming out of the 2019 campaign and everything that had preceded it.
What you just said about football getting that blank, getting that pass because of the COVID thing, like I said on Tuesday about, we're going to give it to football. Basketball should get that same a little blank check, a little free pass there. And I think the Jim Ferry, again, go back to that and say, okay, if James is going to get a, get out of jail free card for an 0-5 start, and he turned it around, then, Jim Ferry and his team, they started a lot later than football did. And, does he get the same kind of opportunity?
And with additional extenuating circumstances in their case. And so, yeah, I think that's a fair point and absolutely needs to be granted the same type of favor. That being said, again, I'm not so hell-bent. I mean, I keep cushioning it only in that, it is possible that Penn State moves on from Jim Ferry and still has everybody excited on board. I think it's very unlikely, and I think there are very few realistic possibilities that would allow for that to happen. But, again, my big thing is you need to have a really strong feeling at the very least that, boy, this is a hire that's going to be a great one, right, for the program moving forward if it's not Jim Ferry. And Ferry, that's not to say that Ferry can't be a great hire too.
Yeah.
Because I really do think moving forward, he has a chance to get this thing turned around a lot more quickly than I would have anticipated the day we learned that Pat Chambers was not returning it to Penn State, because it just felt like everything was in place with Chambers for this program, to be a contender here for the next few years to come at the very least. And it felt with the recruiting inroads that were there that, again, this was it's all relative, built for some long-term success. And long-term success to me with Penn State basketball means, getting to the NCAA tournament 3 out of 5 years and, contending for a Big Ten title a couple of times in there. I mean, that type of thing, having a winning record for 4 or 5 years out of 5, that type of thing. And that's where I think this program was headed. And I'm not sure that they're not still heading there now. But I think they need to be very careful if they move on from Jim Ferry, that they are extremely confident that they have the right guy here for a long period of time. And not anymore in college basketball. I mean, 5 years, I guess, is a long period of time. But
I'm with you, homie. Very much with you on the same boat there.
Take a break here. We are back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube. Looks like the rain may have stopped outside the lube here for a bit. Or not. No, it hasn't. Now I see. My vision was impeded. It's raining pretty good out there, actually. But we'll be back more from the comfortable confines of Quaker Steak and Lube after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
He's not getting that car in there.
No, sir.
Hey, look at these two troublemakers.
Johnny, how are you?
Wicked car, is that new?
Yeah, it's a Sonata. Let me park it.
Oh, you're not fitting your car in there.
Chris, stop being a smarty pants, all right? Look who's got Smart Park. Even Bruiser can park it. Just hit the clicker. I can park it anywhere.
Beaver Stadium?
Parked it.
Even the Jordan Center?
Parked it.
Even Medler Field?
Even Bruiser parked it.
Hey, you can't park there.
He's got Smart Park!
Wicked smart.
Blaze Alexander Hyundai. It's wicked smart.
We welcome you back to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak and Lube as we continue on this Thursday afternoon and gear up for the Penn State Wisconsin basketball game tonight. Second round of the Big Ten tournament, which is continuing as we speak. Maryland with a very solid win over Michigan State earlier today. Ohio State at the moment leading Minnesota 43-31. With under 17 minutes remaining in the second half of that one. And as you said, hockey gets underway. Notre Dame this Sunday at noon in the Big Ten tournament, and the wrestling team off until a week from today with the start of the NCAA championships in St. Louis.
All right,
the Lions will have 9 wrestlers competing in this year's tournament.
You know, I'm obviously a football guy, so I know the football. I pretty much understand the basketball practicing and this and that. So give me what wrestling does in their 2-week window, or I guess you would say 12-day window, 10-day. What is it? So Saturday, they'll leave what, Wednesday to get out there?
They'll leave Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll head out Tuesday, and
but like wrestling, what will they do in between? Will they take 2-3 days off?
Generally, they'll have 2 days. So usually that day, the day after Big Tens will be an off day. Now, a lot of the guys will still, roll around on their own, but not, not a crazy pace or anything. Usually they'll practice on the rest of the week. And trying to think, I think it's usually on the Saturday, but sometime toward the end of the week anyway. They will kind of simulate the national tournament as best they can, and they'll pump in some fan noise. Now, again, I don't know what's happening. 2 things: there won't be fans, that they are very few at the national tournament this year in comparison to normal years. And I'm not up at practices, so I'm not, and I'm really pretty much just trying to stay out of their way this year so that they can do their thing. So, but normally they'll have a day where they're simulating the national tournament to the degree that, they'll play the national anthem. They'll have the guys, they'll go through the weights. They'll have, try to simulate as best they can kind of the time schedule and all of that, just to get them that feel.
So they'll wrestle a match, and then 2 hours and 19 minutes later, usually that's their second match. They'll have them go again.
Something like that. And then, usually by the time that, they'll go out there, once they get out to St. Louis, usually they're they'll have, and they'll practice, I'm sure, on Monday, but and they'll get out there. They'll have, a lighter practice usually on that Tuesday, roll around again, try to get loose, probably work on some technical things and go over a little bit of scout and report on the opponents there for the first round matchups. And then Wednesday, normally is your press conference day for the, some of the athletes will be asked to come over. Usually Penn State has a student athlete and Kale heading over for the press conference. And then usually there's a couple of workouts that day, more so at that point, just watching weight. And again, just refining a couple of things, last couple of messages. And usually there's a team meeting that Wednesday night before the tournament, again, just to try to get everybody in the positive frame of mind. And then really Thursday morning, you're pretty much, everybody's into the routine and everybody kind of has their own thing. The wrestlers I'm talking about. So, different guys will be doing different things in terms of preparation. And Penn State's been very accommodating about, weigh-ins will be 2 hours before the start of the tournament. So obviously everybody's got to get over there for that. So usually, as a team, they'll go over, usually leaving the hotel an hour and a half to 2 hours before weigh-ins, go over, make sure everybody's on weight. A lot of the guys will just lay around and rest if they're on weight, which most of them usually are at that point.
At the facility?
Yep, at the facility. And then, you'll eat breakfast. I think most of the guys now, after weigh-ins, will eat breakfast. And most of the guys now, I think, will stay at the facility. And again, a lot of them will just get some rest. And
I want to talk to you about that.
Yep.
I remember you telling me last year about their dietary needs and restrictions. Every guy on the team is different.
Yeah.
I mean, how are they handling that now? Because you can't leave their own little bubble. And you can't have somebody go out and get that, if somebody does a chicken parmesan is what they like in their pregame meal.
They'll have most of the stuff packed with them when they go, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. And my guess is they're going to make a run. Yeah, I'm guessing once they get out there, they'll make a run to the grocery store. And then, I don't know, to be honest with you, what all the arrangements are going to be throughout the course of the tournament for food. They'll have vans running back and forth. Right. They'll have vans running back and forth with staff and wrestlers at different
they're not allowed
times.
Out to get, but no one's allowed out to get food, right?
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true with the wrestling tournament. I don't know that it's not true. I really don't know, to be honest with you, what all the considerations are that are being given there and what is and isn't permitted, either within the program or within the NCAA and the protocol out there.
It reminds me of a story when Fitzy left here to go down to the Houston Texans with Bill, and they played a game in Mexico City, and they were like, the NFL was like treating it like they were going to London. You're going to play your game, go in 2 days before, enjoy your game. Fitz is like, we can't drink the water down there. We can't eat the food. We have to bring everything.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. That was something I never really thought about in terms of Frank Molinaro was, we were talking about, I forget if this was before or after he went to the Olympics in Rio, but they being USA Wrestling, they brought everything. And when I say everything, I mean, they brought everything with them. They had all of the water, all of the food. I mean, it was mapped out.
The ice in your drink,
all of the workout. Water. I mean, they had their own little, the equipment and everything. I mean, it was all brought down and facilitated ahead of time, and they were basically in their own little, and so I can only imagine to what degree more so that'll be for Tokyo, presuming we have. The Olympic Games coming up here.
Oh, you mean with the COVID or just Tokyo?
In Tokyo. Well, with COVID now as well. But
you got to bring probably 10 chefs. I mean,
yeah,
to prepare and make all the food. Pretty awesome. Pretty unbelievable. What else did I want to say about the wrestling travel? Okay, so you got. I mean, how many different teams represented? 45, 50? there could be
There's
like
probably
Kentman.
yeah.
Well, I
there's
guess the MAC didn't wrestle though, right?
the MAC did. The Ivy Leagues did not. So I actually looked out and looked at that, but I'll bet there's about 60 schools represented.
Okay, so like
60 to 63.
we have 9 guys there that are wrestling.
Yep.
Will we have our own locker room? I mean, how do they divvy that up? If there's a guy there from Kent State is the only guy there, what do they put him in a coat room or something?
I don't know with the workout facilities. That's a good question, and I don't know the answer.
So in the past, could they share with other teams?
But normally they will have their own locker room facility, their own room.
Penn State room.
Correct. But the warm-up areas are usually more open to various teams. Now, Penn State often, for the postseason tournaments, will find a local high school for both Big Tens and Nationals when they're away from here. They'll find a local high school to be able to work out at so that they can stay separated from everybody else anyway. But even with that, I mean, I don't know what all the issues are that you would have to go through to be allowed to work out in a high school this year as well. So I really don't know what all the issues are. I know that we got word that the media is understandably and rightfully being kept completely separate from coaches and athletes. There will be no access for in-person contact with the media and the coaches and student athletes at this year's tournament. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what all the different protocols that are in place for the teams and the interactions within the teams are for the national tournament. And obviously, you're just the thing you're hoping for right now is that all of the kids that are qualified do get the opportunity to compete for the extent of the tournament, right? The disastrous situation would be you have a kid making the finals and then testing for COVID positive on Saturday morning or something like that.
Lord.
And that is, hopefully we have no situations like that pop up here
I will tell you
at the NCAA championships.
A fantastic story here, Ironhead.
Yeah.
And I need you to back me up here because people won't understand. Nate Carr Sr. How legendary of a wrestler is he?
As legendary
as you get, right?
I mean, probably one tier down from the Gable, Smith,
but
Sanderson.
amazing though, right?
Yes.
So I'm in a suite with him. I'm name dropping, I guess.
That's
but
a
I
good name to
remember
drop.
it was a couple years ago when it was my first time going, and I believe that was Cleveland. Was the first time I went to the wrestling. And they had all 16 wrestlers are waiting there in a hallway, and they're going to, when the horn goes for their bout to start. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, man, you can't put 2 football teams next to each other in the same aisle. And you're going to have 100 guys. It's going to be a 200-person brawl. And I'm like, the kid who's starting it is the 15th team safety who has never played it down the whole year, talking the most crap. And I said, I did know Nate that well at the point. I said, Mr. Carr, I said, how much talking is going on in that line right now? How much TSing is going on? And he looked at me and he goes, absolutely none. And he goes, there ain't nowhere to hide on that mat. He goes, ain't nobody got time to talk. You're in your head.
Yeah.
If you start talking, that means they're in your head. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, basketball, football, it would be an absolute mayhem brawl. And he said, well, look at it like this. In football, you got 85 guys behind you, so you're the toughest guy in the room. And he goes, in wrestling, you're the one guy in the room going against the 85 pretty much. And I was like, you make a pretty good point there. But I could not believe. And they all run out and this and that. And he said there's absolutely no crap talking between the competitors and this and that. And it's just, the fans are going crazy and yelling and screaming and all. But he said the competitors, not one word will be spoken there. And I was completely amazed by it.
Yeah. No, I think, I've not been down there personally, but I suspect he's exactly right.
I was like, oh my God, there's that guy's talking about mothers, girlfriends, sisters. There's going on. He's like, no, man. He goes, not one word was said. I guarantee you, not one person said a thing down there.
Did have
thought that was cool.
Somebody asked about any additional wrestlers who may travel as workout partners. I'll try to find out that they will have wrestlers that will go as workout partners. Who is going for Penn State? I don't know, and I don't know if it changes. So the NCAA will only travel the qualifiers. I really don't know. So many things are changing this year because normally Penn State for the away dual meets, for conference dual meets, right, could only take 13 wrestlers. And I think it was up to at least 15 this year, which is what they would do. But I want to say it might have even been 20 that they were allowed to take this year. I may be off on that, but it was definitely more than you normally are permitted to travel that was allowed. I don't think the NCAA would change what they're paying for, but I don't know if they would permit teams to. Now, Penn State would still have additional workout partners because the kids will come out on their own. And again, I don't know what is and isn't being permitted in terms of what's allowed in the arena and through the gate. So I was saying additional wrestlers are going out, and now I'm thinking that through. That actually may not be the case this year because I'm not sure. Again, I could make the argument either way for allowing that or not allowing it because all of these kids are being tested daily at Penn State at least, and I'm presuming probably close to it at least at most of the programs throughout the country. But again, you're trying to minimize the risks and the potential problems here as much as you can. I'm just thinking that through. So it may very well be that only the qualifiers, at least in the arena, will be allowed in as workout partners. Now, again, if I don't know what the protocols would be, either at the university or with the NCAA, if Penn State is working out at a high school or at another facility as to what is permitted this year or not permitted as compared to other years. So I'll ask and I'll have an answer for you on that on Tuesday, because now I'm thinking that through. I was pretty confident when I started there, my answer that, they have other guys going. And now I'm thinking that through. That may not be the case this year.
Well, I have a question.
I'll circle back to you, right? That's the terminology. I'll circle back to you on Tuesday on that. Thanks for the question.
I probably answer my own question, but like if you travel to a dual match at Iowa, you said we traveled 15 guys this year because if somebody tests positive at 133 or somebody gets ill, they're going to drop in another guy. They're not going to have that in the national.
Well, it also was just to get extra matches so the kids would have opportunities to compete.
But there is if let's say our 133 guy gets sick, they're not going to replace him with a Penn State 133 guy because they have an alternate list.
Correct.
So they will travel the alternates also, right? They have to, right?
Well, see, there have been years, and Penn State came under fire because we had a kid that didn't. We thought was going to be able to compete and then wasn't able to compete. And so the alternate, it just ended up being, a forfeit victory in that first round for the opponent. Normally you try to get, again, if it's somebody that is not able to compete now, then you're letting the NCAA know so that, the alternates, that would be used should be notified in advance. So I don't think you're traveling the alternates in anticipation of, hey, something might happen here on a Wednesday. Now, again, this could be changing with everything this year, but normally that's not the case. You're just going with each team is traveling its qualifiers. And once you get out there, if somebody then can't compete for whatever reason, it's just, that's the breaks.
Yeah.
And you move forward with a 32-man field then instead of 33.
Compared to years past, Ironhead, how excited are you for this tournament?
I'm very excited, and probably for some different reasons. One is I got word today that I will be going to St. Louis, so I'm just excited to be able to continue to go and watch the Nationals in person. And by the way, a sincere, huge thank you to Penn State and the administration for allowing that to happen, because it's there are some burdens that come with it, and I'm very, very appreciative of the willingness of the university to work with us to make that happen. And so for me, being there in person is going to be special. But two other things that really, to me, just make this special. One is not having an NCAA tournament last year. I am just take the Penn State part out of it for a second, although I'm obviously very excited about that. But just to be able to have the NCAA championships and watch the top wrestlers in the country be able to come together and compete again is a big deal, just as it is going to be for NCAA basketball fans to be able to see a tournament play out again, right? You just want that opportunity to watch, the teams compete at the highest level for the highest stake. But also, this year you do have, I think, truly the best of what's there. And again, the Ivy League schools not being there is a disappointment and, is significant. You're missing out on some of the top wrestlers in the country from being there. But you have a situation this year where some guys that maybe normally would have been redshirted this year, right, who are probably top 8 guys, but listen, we're going to hold off a year because this senior can probably maybe get in the top 8 too, or at least be close to it. And, the point differential there, not this year. Every team is putting out its best 10 guys and letting the chips fall where they may. So I do think the quality of wrestling is going to be very high here at the NCAA tournament. And from Penn State's perspective, I'm excited just to see how this team does. I think going in, most objective observers are probably expecting Penn State to finish second, even as young as it is. And I think that would be a tremendous accomplishment, truthfully, with 5 freshmen that'll be going to the tournament and 6 in that starting lineup, but 5 in the tournament. If this team can indeed finish second, it certainly sets up for a very bright future. But there are so many individual matchups that I'm looking forward to seeing, both from within the Penn State program and just on the national level. I'm really curious to see if Gable Steveson breezes through heavyweight the way he did it at Big Tens. I'm kind of expecting that now.
Ask you that.
But I want to, I want to see, can Nick Lee win the national title, or does Lee? I mean, he can, but does he win the national title? I want to see how things shake out at 149 on the national scene. I want to see, I'm hoping we get Roman Bravo Young and Dayton Fix at 33 in the finals, because I think it would be one heck of a championship match. I think 65 is going to be a whole lot of fun to see who emerges with the national title there. There's just, again, a lot of really intriguing, neat storylines, both for teams and individuals. Can NC State finish, as high as second at the national tournament and make history for that program? Utah Valley has a couple of outstanding individuals that are looking to make history for that program. So just a lot of neat storylines, again, both within the Penn State program and just throughout the country here, that I think is going to make this a really fun and intriguing NCAA tournament.
I can't wait for it. Look forward to it. Look forward to our show Tuesday talking about this weekend. But I forgot to ask you the other day, Schneider and Steveson.
I mean, right now, Snyder is
he's the top in the world.
Yeah. Now that, again, does that mean Steveson would have no shot against him? No. But
pretty awesome, though, man.
Oh yeah,
he's a junior in college.
Yeah,
and he's
pretty awesome. He's very special. What he did against Paris, I mean, we talked about it Tuesday.
I'm still stunned by it. I'm absolutely stunned.
I'm with you, because I really thought the way Paris was wrestling. I mean, I was still favoring Steveson. I thought Steveson would win, but I truly thought it would be a 1 or 2 point bout. I mean, I thought it would come down to the very end, and I mean, he was just toying with them, and which is what Mason was doing with every other heavyweight that he's faced in the country.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing when you just think about that separation, because to me, it is Mason Paris. Actually, it's Tony Cassiope, and then a little bit of a drop off to the rest of the field. a big gap between Cassiope and Mason Paris, and then a gigantic gulf between Paris and so Stevenson to the rest of that field. It's just it's comparable to what Spencer Lee is doing at 125 now, and I mean, there's nobody that's touching Spencer Lee if he's healthy and ready to go at the national tournament. Again, there might be somebody that can get a takedown or two, but you're gonna. All that's going to do is make it 21-4 instead of 19-2 when the technical foul is issued. But Gable Stevenson has separated himself from the field to that degree, in my mind, going into the national tournament.
So in years past, they would take the most highly projected match. Was it David Taylor a couple of years where they started after him and they were the matinee highlight match? And
yeah.
I mean, I think Stevenson Paris has got to be that match.
I don't know, because after that, I mean, is there really any doubt? Yeah, is there any doubt? It will be interesting at nationals because I don't know. To me, 41 is the most intriguing championship bout, no matter how that ends up.
Yeah.
Because I think there's just elite level wrestling from those top three guys. And I mean, all three of them, again, are capable of winning the national title this year. But I think all three of those guys are capable of going on and having international success. And I mean, like winning world championships, Olympic gold. I mean, all of it. You have three guys there that, in my mind, are that caliber of wrestlers. So for me, that final, presuming that it's two of those three that are in the finals, that's probably where I would go as the bout. I don't know. I don't know if this year if that's something that they're looking at, and I don't know if that perception is out there nationally. There's not another weight other than 65 where I think you could have that matchup, and 65 again to me could be that type of matchup depending on again how it plays out. As far as who's in the final, for me, the other, if Roman Bravo Young and Dayton Fix both get to the finals, in terms of an entertainment value, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a more entertaining bout than those two. And listen, it could end up being a 2-1 bout, but those two are capable of putting on a show where it's a 15-14 final, and I mean back and forth the whole way. And I think both of them have showmanship in them as well as obviously high-level wrestling. So it'll be interesting to see. And again, part of it's going to depend on how the tournament plays out and what matchups we do end up having in the finals. And also the team race. Is Penn State able to close the gap and make this a competitive race going into Saturday night where there's a reason to make a Penn State Iowa, if it is a Nick Lee and Jaden Ironman matchup, do you put that at the end because that, could potentially impact the team race? That'll play into it as well here in terms of the
final
ultimate
question.
decision.
I feel like Chris Farley when he used to be on Saturday Night Live. That one time. That's what I feel like when I'm interviewing, when I'm talking to you about wrestling. So would they ever wrestle out of weight, like go 141, 180? Would they
probably
do that? I mean, that gets in the kids' heads, I think, right?
Yeah, would I say never? Not this year. I would say it's unlikely, but I mean, I guess I would never say never, because for a long time, the thought of doing anything other than wrestling from lightweights to heavyweights was perceived as crazy, and then obviously we've got used to that. So
before and say, hey, we're going to start. This is how we're going.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. And as wrestling continues to evolve and try to create more opportunities to gain fans, right? I mean, that's something that would make
pretty
sense.
Cool, man.
And it's it's what you see in UFC cards and boxing cards, right? You build up to the championship, but the one before the championship, you're trying to make that's the next best. And then I mean, do I think that's possible and something that they even ought to take a look at? Yeah, probably they should.
Pretty cool, man.
Moving forward. I
don't think they announce them. They just
but getting through,
let's go.
getting through, because we're all creatures of habit, and and wrestlers and coaches are no different. So, getting that mindset where you're used to wrestling a certain order all season long, again, no matter where that starting weight is, you still know what the order is from where you start to where you finish then. It would take an adjustment, but again, you make adjustments. I mean, we've seen for TV and for fan bases, right? I mean, we saw volleyball completely disrupt the way it scores the matches. I mean, so and it's worked out okay. I mean, the numbers are up and all of that. So, yeah, I would say not this year, but is that something that could be coming to the NCAA championships and maybe even should be? As I'm thinking about that, probably would make some sense. We'll be back Tuesday. We'll talk much more about the Big Ten basketball tournament, Big Ten hockey tournament then, as well as
Penn State Big Ten basketball title.
The opportunity for the wrestling team to begin its quest here on Thursday, a week from today in St. Louis. Till then, we thank you for tuning in. Be good and be safe. We'll talk to you Tuesday.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorentos available on our lot starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
tell him Johnny sent you.